And of course, I got the wrong video up. Let me see if I can find the right one here.
we're three professionals. That's us.
All right, you guys ready again for the intro? Let's get going.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll be right back. Man, I am messing up. That's not even the right intro. Forget it, guys. Just showing you how much I am ready for today's show. So
we're here. We're here.
One more try, guys. If I don't mess it this time, I'm cutting it out for today. We're gonna end it just with the intro. All right, ready? I'm gonna do it right this time, guys. I'm old. They say third time's the charm. I got after the third try. Everybody, this is our show, Comic Culture. My name is Ephraim. I go by Passpoint Comics. Joining me as usual, and I really thank you guys for always being here with me. First up is Dan, Ambassador Dan. How's it going, Dan?
Things are going great. Well, we got a lot to talk about, including my experience with meeting that gentleman at his con. I was more than impressed. Had a great time, but we'll talk about it as the show unfolds.
And that gentleman's name is Nando, goes by the Nando Night. How's it going, Nando?
It's good, man. Today's been a good day.
Good. So this is, like I said, Comic Culture. We're going to talk about comic books, obviously, a little bit of movie entertainment, and we're going to end up talking a little bit about sports, see how it's going in the sports world out there. But without much further ado, I don't think I have any comments, so that's pretty, well, I would like comments, but that's okay. So we'll just get going. Oh, wait a minute. We got somebody here. Who's this? The Nando Night. There we go.
Iggy, that's right, guy.
The guy that works with you, correct?
Yeah, he's one of my buddies that works with me. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Thanks for joining us. All right, we got one comment. All right, so let's bring up the slides. This is Comic Culture. Oops, hang on for a second. Here we go. Okay, so this is Comic Culture. Like I said, we're going to talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, any trending stories, pop, anything that shows up, we'll talk about, So I usually, look at slides, or I go on Instagram and pick up comic book news, and I make slides of it, and also entertainment news. But let's get going. First out, I always do shout outs. I try to, and these are basic YouTube channels that I watch on a regular basis, that I like watching. So I always give them a little bit of shout outs. First one is Jim Comics. He hasn't done a video in a little while, though, but I always like his comics. It's very nice and easy. He usually just shows comic books that are coming up the following week. It just shows which books he's buying. But he hasn't been on for a couple months, but I still wanted to give him a shout out because I do watch his channel when he does when he has new videos on there. The one on the right is called Immaculate Comics. This gentleman, if you look at his title, it says Science Education and the Subtractive Restoration of Comic Books. When I started doing my own cleaning and pressing, and I still go to his channel just to look at what he does, but he does a deep dive into cleaning comic books. So I bought some stuff from him to help me clean my comic books whenever I do that. So it's a very good channel. I highly recommend it.
I thought I'd see that guy, by the way. I watch so many of these YouTube comic shows. Sure. I can't watch all of them, but I think I've seen him before, and I will check out Jim's comics. I don't think I've seen him yet.
Yeah, Immaculate Comics. I seen him take apart a comic book and put it through this washing thing. I was like,
oh, that's insane. That's insane.
I was like, this is too much for me. When I clean and press my books, basically that's all I'm doing is just cleaning and pressing them, but he took apart the whole book.
Wow.
And he put it through the wash. I mean, what is going on here, man?
That's crazy.
The bottom one is Comic Book Investments, just a gentleman who has a YouTube channel, and I believe he does comic books. He has his own website too. And he just talks about what he invests in. So, and the one on the right is the Killer Comic Show. They're on every Thursday. They're from the UK, and like Jim's comics, they just talk about comic books that are coming out for that week. And now it's like, hearing about new comics, some of the things I might miss up on.
Now,
Right.
I do watch David from Comic Book Investments. He's one of my mainstays here. I never talked to him, never met him or anything, but he's got a pretty good channel, very good pulse on the comic community and the market. He's he's an interesting guy to listen to say the least.
Yeah, it's always good to listen to these people, but I always go with my own instincts when I buy a comic book.
Yeah.
Either I want it or I don't. If it makes me happy, to me personally, that's what matters to me. So, and I bought 2 books from Nando that I'm going to pick up this weekend. So,
Sure.
sure. Let's see if we have any more comments before we go any further here. We have Cali Comics. Evening all. Thanks for joining.
My buddy from the Hunt. How you doing, bud?
Yeah. And we have some comments here by Stash Dad. He says, yes, Immaculate Comics is awesome. Yep. Interesting YouTube channel, to say the least. And one more for him. It was an X-Men 4 where he watched. See, he did watch a book. I was like, dang, man, I wouldn't watch a book. Not like that.
Jeez.
Yeah. I've used what do you call it, a steamer to steam some of my books every now and then, but I'm very careful when I do that. Just to
I'm terrified I wouldn't even bother to try. I would destroy the comic.
I've done that a couple of times, just have DI water and use a steamer just to get them moist a little bit, but I don't go overboard with my books. No way. All right, let's get on to comic books. This is my recommended read of the week. And I just have one that I just started. It came out, I believe, just last week. And it is Blood Hunt #1 by Marvel Comic Books. When I look at a comic book, right from the beginning, if it grabs me, and this book did, it just excitement through the first issue. And, I highly recommend it. This is the bloodiest Marvel event ever. The skies have gone dark, the sun hiding his face from the carnage to come. The children of the night, the vampires, have risen from the dark and hidden places of the world as one to drown the Marvel universe in blood. Basically, in the first issue, the Avengers are basically beaten already, and it starts from there. So, I highly recommend reading this book. Just issue #1 came out. Have you guys been reading any good books we can talk about really quick, or we just go forward?
I mean, I read the teaser from Free Comic Book Day for Blood Hunt. I didn't get to read Blood Hunt 1 yet. It's on my to read list. But so far, it was pretty interesting on the teaser poll, so that was good. And then you got on Free Comic Book Day's issue, you got the teaser for the new X-Men title too.
Yes. Yep. And that there was Blood Hunt #1, the Thor cover. Looks like his head's chopped off. Everybody wanted that book, man. I see on eBay like going for over $100, $200.
Yeah,
I didn't get one.
That was one of those homage to the horror covers.
Oh, you're right.
So it was an homage cover that they made, which is funny because I think there was another Wolverine title that had the same homage style with Sabretooth's head, I think.
Yes. Yep.
And that one didn't sell for anything. And then all of a sudden, this one was in a bag because it was bloodier. It went off the chain.
When I seen it for advanced orders, I said, "Nah, I'm not going to get that." It didn't even interest me at all, man. But you just never know, What
There's one comic I want to read, and it's one that I got from Nando. I got a really sweet Fantastic Four 353. That was the first Mobius. I've never owned it, and I've never read it. But, of course, with the slab, you can't read it. So now I desperately want to see what they did with who's it? Where they come from, the time travelers, the timekeepers, rather. The TVA, the Time Variant Authority. That's the first appearance of the TVA. No, maybe not the first appearance, but the first appearance of Mobius. So now I'm extremely curious to see what they did with that. Because again, we're having that come back in the Deadpool movie, which I'm happy that they are. They should. That's something that should be an ongoing story for years to come with the MCU. I
have those books too, but they're graded, so I can't send it to you, Dan. So so you can read it. But that's a good book to have, especially with, like you said, when the Deadpool movie coming up, they'll be coming back to TVA. Okay, so let's get going here. And this is just your basic comic book news that I just find. Most of it's on Instagram. I follow a bunch of sites, and I go online and I just find interesting news of comic books. And the first one, the reason I put this up there, because if you notice, Batman, it's a new costume. So this is Batman 147. This is Bruce is alone and on the run after escaping from Zur's private prison. The context of that situation makes Bruce reflect on what he's been and should be, namely seeing that Zur makes Bruce deeply question the gruff loner version of Batman he often resorts to being. We all know Batman likes being a loner, but he has a big family for a man trying to be a loner. So this is just showing that he's trying to open up some, and he's gonna have it says that that kind of new Batman attitude needs a new costume to match. So Bruce makes one. So what do you guys think of when they put characters in new, outfits, so to speak? Do you think it's just a money grab, or you think it's going to last? Or, I'd like to hear your opinions on that.
Well, from the perspective of the writer, if they're trying to project that, we are I'll be talking about this in my segment, that we are in a color society. In other words, everything is affected by color. And if you want to change your mood or change your style, whatever, you change your clothes, and of course the colors come with it. So I understand the premise. It's sort of a statement. The fashion statement, it comes into prominence with someone like a Batman character, but of course from the companies like DC and Marvel, it's money grab, no question about it. It's no different, and you can get carried away with it like they did with the new Spider-Man characters. They had every spider you can possibly think of, including Garden Spider. Who wants to have that? And it's all a different color. It's no different than when you play a video game and you have that option at the beginning. You can change colors, whatever, to suit your needs and all that. So I have mixed feelings about it, but I'm not going to say no to it. So I'm not going to say no to any new ideas.
I think before you say anything, Nando, but I compare this to almost like when Spider-Man has a new costume. I don't even pay attention anymore because there's so many of them. I went, oh brother, not another one. He always seems to go back to his original costume at the end. But
I think new suits are especially in comics. I think it's a directional point, right? Because every writer has a different suit. Right. If you go back to like with Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, their version of Batman is different than what Chip Zdarsky's run looks like on Batman. It looks different than what, the Kelly Jones Batman looked like then you go back to, the Bob Kane, Bill Finger Batman. Everybody's Batman is a different iteration of it. The suits look different. I mean, we go through television from Adam West, one style, to our first film with Michael Keaton, to Val Kilmer, to George Clooney, to Ben Affleck, to Robert Pattinson. Everybody's suit is different because it's a different story that's being told from that point of view or that style. So yeah, it's a money grab, but it's also, I think, a way to separate yourself and be like, I'm not that story's Batman. This is my story's Batman. So it's it's a way to differentiate.
Yeah, we'll see how long this costume lasts. And next story here. And speaking of Batman, Batman's not my favorite character, but I know he's yours, Nando. But I really enjoyed this character. I mean, like I said, we've said in the past, or I've said it, I don't know where DC would be if they didn't have Batman, So, but this is Batman, the Brave and the Bold, and looks like there's a new Robin. It's a female. This is Maps Mizoguchi takes on her first sanctioned mission with Batman, setting her up officially to be the next Robin. I read this issue already and I liked it. But I was looking, I wonder if this is, for a minute, I thought it was an Elseworld story, but I don't believe it is. I think it's going to be in the regular, DC universe. So I'm wondering if this Robin, how long she's going to last, and if she's going to be introduced to the other, people, the other family, the Batman family. But yeah, looks like there's going to be another Robin hanging around for a while, hopefully for a while.
Yeah, I know DC just made an announcement, I think it was yesterday, about I think it was 8 new Elseworld stories that are coming out this year.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of new stories. One of them is going to be a spin-off from the Dark Knights of Steel, where it looks like it's more a little Viking-esque.
Okay.
And you have it looks like Deathstroke is kind of in charge of that. So it's going to be an interesting spin-off from that storyline. I'm really excited for that one because Dark Knights of Steel was probably one of my favorite reads from last year.
Is that the one when Batman had superpowers, correct?
Yeah, so that was what the DC universe is basically in the Camelot King Arthur time period.
I remember that.
So now they're spinning off into another branch. So let's see how that goes.
I like that storyline too. But in years gone by, Batman, the Brave and the Bold, to me, when this issue, and this has only been 10 episodes or 10 books so far, but previous Brave and the Bold, there were always team ups, which I thought this was going to be, but this book is not that, But it's a Batman book, so I'm sure we'll
I
see.
wonder if this is going to tie into the film, because the idea with James Gunn's first Batman is supposed to be Batman Brave and Bold.
Oh, really? That's right. I remember that. Yeah. And to
Interesting.
me, well, I know we're talking about Batman's costume, but I love this costume that he has on right there.
Yeah,
To me,
the blue, yellow, black, and gray.
That's always been my favorite costume for Batman. Okay, next storyline. This is an Dark Horse. It's called The Rider. It says beginning in June. This is from Frozen and the Angry Birds movie star Josh Gad will release his first comic book, Dark Horse Comics The Rider, which teams Gad with storytellers Ben and Mark Berkowitz, veteran writer Ariel Olivetti, and writer Frank Setkovic. The writer combines the fantastical elements of culture folklore with the real-life challenges of the creative process and his final order cutoff dates for the series. So this book, I mean, it hasn't even come out yet, but it just grabs my interest, and I love the cover on here. So hopefully it'll be a good read. And if you can hear my birds chirping in the background, so I'm trying to not pay attention to them, but hopefully this will be a good book to read. Next up, Wolverine turns his back on the X-Men in an all-new series that redefines his history. We'll see. And it says says Wolverine ditches the X-Men to face an ancient evil in a new series set in Canada's wilderness. Marvel's new Wolverine series promises to rewrite Logan's lore with new challenges and revelations for the iconic mutant. What do you guys think? I mean, I know there's been so many times that Wolverine has gone on his own already. You think this book will be worth anything or be a good read?
Nando, what do you think?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, you always have the hope for the new stories are going to be good. I mean, and if we're getting some good, meat on the bone, like we did with Cap and we did with Avengers recently, like, maybe we're going to see some new production out of this and some new movement, especially like with the new X-Men stories that are supposed to be coming out. But I think this is going to be a summer of X, and so anything associated with X is going to be super heavy and super like sought after. I know a lot of the Wolverine books from Shortbox, at the show, anything Wolverine, anything X-Men, it was gone. I mean, it was that and ASM for the Marvel side, and Batman, Superman were actually the DC sellers.
Where Batman is making all sorts of money for DC, Wolverine's making an equal amount of money for Marvel. And it's got to be tough to be a new writer today, because you have to sort of, just like the Batman story, come up with new, completely fresh ideas, and hopefully it sticks and hopefully it works. But we all love the character. My recommendation, if you want to make a purchase, Incredible Hulk 180 is still way, way undervalued. I have one. I only paid a couple $100 for it. It's worth a lot more now. But I mean, I don't have a 181. It's unaffordable. It's even though it's a highly printed book. I would get your hands on one. That way you can say you have the first appearance of Wolverine. And you can never go wrong with it. Everyone's profiling, including Comic Tom, the 4 miniseries that Wolverine had with his first issue. For the money you're paying for that, you'd still get a better value having the actual first appearance with 180. So, again, I applaud these people for coming up with new ideas. I would still say there's been a shortage, though, and I guess because Nando and Ephraim, you guys read more than I do. New characters from Marvel. I haven't seen a whole lot of new characters collectively since I stopped collecting in the mid '90s. I mean, that's a 30-year run. Roughly. So am I wrong? Other than Miles and maybe a few others, there hasn't been a whole. They're still playing off of the Silver, Bronze, and Copper Age. Yeah,
I think they will be. Those are always their mainstays. But there's also, recently Kamala Khan within the last 5 or so years, and they just came out with a new Spider-Boy. I'm not sure how long he's going to last, but he has his own comic book now. So I think they're always going to try to bring in fresh blood, so to speak. But I mean, let's face it, the mainstays are always going to be the Silver Age, both in DC and Marvel. Those characters are always going to stay. They can't get rid of them.
And Bronze Age. Bronze Age was very.
Oh, Bronze Age too. Yes, Bronze Age too.
I agree. I think it's they're gonna spaghetti noodle it on the wall to see what sticks, and kind of go from there. But I mean, DC did the same thing. DC would throw out new characters all the time, and it would get its own run, and all of a sudden, then that run was over, and then let's get a new character and see what that does. So, I think it's going to be a constant revolving door, but I think you still have your pillars that you have to stand on.
Yeah.
And DC has their Trinity, Marvel has the first family of Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Spider-Man. So I think those are those pillars for them.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about characters. I mean, over 60, 80 years, these characters have been around. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine
what Marvel and DC are going to do when these characters hit 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of the comments before we go any further. Here we have Cali Comics. Taylor is great with DC Elseworlds. I'm not sure what this means, but how did they pull Olivetti? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know what that means, Nando?
Just how do they get the writer to do the work?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. And Hero Made Podcast, he says, I love the X-Men. Who doesn't? But Wolverine is so overused. Yeah, I mean, but people like him, so I think they're just gonna keep on doing it. They're always Batman's overused. I mean, I don't know how many books he has out right now, and I read every one of them. I'm really into Batman. I'm getting, like I said, when I first started reading comic books, I was like 99% Marvel. But I've been reading a lot of DC recently, and I do enjoy their storylines. So,
well, Efren, when you and I were in our 20s and even 30s, Spider-Man was the mainstay for Marvel. Yeah. There were so many Spider-Man titles because it sold, and so now he's sort of it's still selling, but now it's all Wolverine. There'll be a new character at some point that they deem their most popular, biggest moneymaker at some point. Right now, it's Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, Dan, with Efren being 99% Marvel, now he's at 98% Marvel. So
that's huge. That's huge. I missed that.
It's about 70%. So some of the more comments. Wolverine is Marvel's Batman. So oversaturated. Yep. Here, agreed. He is cool, but not as compelling as a ton of theirs.
Yeah.
This one I agree with 100%. Daredevil right now is heating up. Daredevil is my favorite character. I've always liked that character.
Well, they have a really good actor to play Daredevil. That's what's accelerating that character.
Yeah. Personally, I think the ground level heroes are more relatable and more exciting to read about. Like, when you go into the fantastical world of like X-Men and Fantastic Four, it's like it's so out there. Yeah, that you're just like, that's the imaginary, ideas that you get to read and see off of. But when you're going Daredevil or Spider-Man, even Punisher at times, like, you're going with those kind of storylines, those are things that you can read about in the newspaper you can read online about or whatever like that. And you can actually see something like that in reality. So I think that's more ground level. I think that's why Batman has always had the sole possession of DC, because it's the most relatable because of the ground level stuff. I mean, none of us are an alien from another planet, at least not publicly. And, none of us is a princess from Themyscira publicly. So, we have all those to think about.
Yeah. Metal Dope Live is joining us. Thank you very much.
Good to see Metal Dope.
Hero Made Podcast. We need Squirrel Girl. Who did she beat? Dr. Doom, I believe. In a comic book, they showed her beating, Dr. Doom, or was it Wolverine? I forgot which one of the two, but she's a pretty cool character. I have enjoyed that character. Let's see here. Comic-Holics, Metal Dope. And thank you once again. And somebody's asking, is that Dan? So yes, it is.
I'm at the bottom here. Yeah, I can sit up if it makes you feel better. I've lost a little weight too. Maybe you don't recognize me.
That's because you're on the bottom of the screen now, because you are the totem pole that holds us all up. So
yeah, very kind. Yeah. I'm going to steal that when next time I'm on Spine Ticks, and Sid puts me at the bottom.
And looks like Hero Made Podcast agrees. It says she beat up Juggernaut. Yeah, that was who she beat up. Yeah, so hidden powers. Okay, let's get on to the next slide here. So 2024 has been a banner year for DC's Trinity. Trinity is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But it's also the anniversary of one of DC's most memorable storylines. That would be the epic battle for the universe known as Zero Hour. Wow, it's been 30 years. So DC is jumping back to 0 Hour with an all-star team at the helm. Writers Dan Jurgen and Ron Martz, and joined Daryl Banks, Jerry Ordwell, and others more in this oversized special issue. And you can check out your exclusive first look at the special at the new special on the slide. So yeah, it's coming 30 years. That's crazy. 0 hours.
I was reading they got Kelly Jones involved in it too. That's great.
Yeah. So it says, for those unfamiliar with 0 Hour, the storyline was one of the pivotal moments in Hal Jordan's journey as Parallax. So yeah, 30 years. So it's coming up, should be good.
I have always loved the Green Lantern character, and I'm so sorry for the movie that came out with Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
We don't talk about that era.
No, no one should ever talk about that. But again, just like and Aquaman has always been Aquaman. He's never been a bad character when we were kids. I mean, remember Ephraim, you and I remember Super Friends from the 70s.
Yeah.
He was always just a fun character.
Yeah.
But if you get the right actor, you can absolutely excite anyone in the audience with the right actor and the right writers. I'm hoping they do that with the Hal Jordan Green Lantern, who is one of my favorites. I think undersung and underappreciated today, but that could change again depending on how the DC team, puts their new foot forward with comics. So again, I'm just hoping and rooting that the Lantern character gains some prominence.
I might be talking one-sided about this, but with the idea that they're going to do the Green Lantern Corps show as like a detectives like police show, like an NYPD Blue kind of style. I'm actually excited for that. I think that's gonna be great because I really think that's gonna allow for you to get different lanterns and different point of views. And I think that can open up the universe so wide that it's gonna be really an awesome opportunity to see different stories get told. So I'm really excited for that series.
I love that concept.
Yeah. I mean, we all love going to a movie and we all like seeing it. But to me, episodic TV, it really delves into the characters. You get to learn a lot more of them. I think I enjoy that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Let me see. And these are just some comic books that are coming up. And Dazzler is going to get her own book. She's an X-Men, and Storm is. And it says Earth's Mightiest Mutant joins Earth's Mightiest Heroes in Avengers 17. Looks like there's going to be a new X-Men joining the Avengers coming up. It says From the Ashes, a New Beginning. So looking forward to reading those books. And let's see what else here. This is another indie book. This is from Image. This is Creature from the Black Lagoon. They did Dracula previously. I believe it was Image, the same story, not the same storyline, but the same set of creatures. This is a mini-series premiere. A new horror dream team resurrects one of the most iconic monsters by writer Dan Waters, Homesick Pilot, Lucifer, Ramvi, The Many Deaths of Lila, Star, and Batman Detective Comics. So it says, years after the events of the original film, journalist Kate Martin hunts for a notorious serial killer in the heart of the Amazon. I've always loved these movies when they came out as a kid. I used to be into The Creature of the Black Lagoon, Werewolf, Dracula, Frankenstein. So I'm glad these books are coming out. So these are good reads.
Love the fact that they're getting all the iterations of the Universal monsters to get like deeper stories. So good. The Dracula storyline was great. I think the trade and hardcover just came out recently, either last week or this week. Creature from Black Lagoon Lives is great. It's a really good read as well too. I'm anticipating that we're going to get Wolfman and Frankenstein and not only that, but some of the variant covers that have come out of this artwork is gorgeous. I mean, just to speak of the one, I have Jenny Frison is one of my favorites ever. And she does the variants for all of these. And the Dracula one was great. Her Black Lagoon one is great. Oh man, it's so many good stories that are coming with this line. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. So these are going to be, what do you think, Dan? You think you're going to be reading this book or at least buying it? And
I'm just like, I'm so guilty of cover buys because it brings back nostalgia. And I remember watching the movie back in the day. I mean, it was before my time in the 50s, but I mean, it was cheap and cheesy regarding the special effects, but they pulled it off. The acting was just, that's what made the whole thing. And, there's all kinds of directions you can go with just this one cover here. The ladies with the legs and all that was very, very risque for the day.
Yeah.
So that was a lot showing a little more than it was revealed. But I don't know if I'll actually get into reading them because again, I'm so guilty of buying comics and not reading them. It's just I have no business buying anymore. Don't tell my wife that, but it's true.
That's it, Dan. We're gonna send you number ones of the Universal ones, and we're gonna force you to read them, and then we're gonna have you report back on the next episode and be like, okay, I read it.
Yeah.
And they will too. Yes, they will. All right. I shouldn't have said anything. All right.
What I do, Dan, is every night I set it. Well, I'm single. My kid is grown up, so
Yeah.
I set a time like about an hour and a half just to read comic books. Just take my time reading a book. Or
I
two.
should. I have no excuse. There's there's a 30-minute window in any day that I could do that. I need to be more dedicated.
We're gonna quiz you next month. So what you've read. So
I think I'm busy next month.
Yeah. Looks like
I'm gonna get that book to you, Dan. I'm gonna do it.
All right.
All right, next slide up, guys. Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy reunite as the Gotham City Sirens for the team's first new comic. I couldn't believe this. In over a decade, I went, damn.
Yeah.
Over a decade ago. That's crazy. I can't believe it was that long. So, so it looks like Gotham City Sirens is coming back. I have no idea what the storyline is going to be. It was just this blurb about it, But yeah, I always like these 3 characters, so definitely going to give it a read.
Do it.
Yeah, do it. I will. I told you, Nando, I'm more into DC now. So look at this. I'm not doing it just for you.
Come to the dark side. It's fine. Come on over. We have cookies. We have cookies. Actually, I will actually put it out there real quick, just saying this, but my wife has gotten into sourdough, and she made and it's amazing, great stuff, by the way. But she made this batch of sourdough chocolate chip cookies.
Wow!
And they were the softest, best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had in my life. And I told her, I said, you're not allowed to make chocolate chip cookies any other way now, like ever.
Where did you get that idea?
She took a starter class to make the starter kit, and then my wife is, when she's into something, she's all in, and she deep dove and found things, and she's like, oh look, we can do this. Oh look, we can make muffins. We can make blueberry muffins, strawberry muffins. We can make pancakes. We can do this, cheddar and jalapeno. And then it was like, maybe cinnamon sugar. And I was like, oh, maybe we could do cinnamon sugar sourdough and then make it like French toast. And she was like, this is not a good idea anymore.
You'd make a fortune selling them at your next con.
That's what I was thinking.
Those are going to be the Dark Bite chocolate chip cookies.
Love it.
What you do at your next convention when you're a vendor, try to see little by little, have a little oven there for your wife, and the smell too will bring in a lot of customers, right?
I'll tell her. I'll let her know.
I'll let her know. Great.
We'll get the T&K Easy Bake Oven edition and get that going.
Oh man. Buy a comic, get a cookie.
Right, there you go. Buy a comic, get a cookie.
Yeah. All right. So I was like, wow, I couldn't believe this. IDW publishes Star Trek 500th issue in August. So this is IDW is publishing Star Trek 500 with Patton Oswalt, Chris Cantwell, Magdalene Visaggio, and more. It says it will contain 7 stories from 7 different Star Treks, including Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom, looking at the psychology and physiology of tribbles. It will also include the prelude to the 2025 Star Trek/Star Trek Defiant crossover. So yeah, I was like, wow, 500th episode or issue. That's crazy, So kudos to them.
As a huge Star Trek fan, I will get this. I want to see what they did with the franchise.
Yeah.
Same. I want to read that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it too. So it looks like good. They have all the generations of the Star Trek, so to speak, on there. So yeah, hopefully it's a good read.
Are you trying to say they have Star Trek with all the next generations? Is that what you're trying to say?
I was kind of throwing something like that in there. Yeah, you caught me.
I got you.
Let's see what else here. So Marvel, Transformers, and G.I. Joe get compendium collections from Skybound. I was like, wow. So Skybound, who recently got the Hasbro license for Transformers and G.I. Joe, is now republishing the Marvel runs from the 80s and 90s. I go, wow, that's going to be a big book. So I've never been into G.I. Joe, to be honest with you guys, but I thought I would throw this in there as news, just comic book news. What about you guys? You've ever been into Transformers and G.I. Joe?
I did Transformers as a kid. That was one of my things that I did a lot. But I never got into Joe. That was one of the ones I never got into.
Yeah. I mean, when, as a kid, you had a G.I. Joe action figures, but never, when the comics came out, what was it, the late 70s, early 80s? No. I mean, it's popular. There's a huge push for this. There's a lot of people G.I. Joe fans, and so that it's still very, very popular and sells very well.
Yeah.
I just, my interests go elsewhere.
Yeah, in the 70s, I was in my disco stage, so I wasn't reading too much G.I. Joe.
You didn't do disco, did you? I can't see you doing the disco. No.
I was partying so
Oh
much.
wait, do you have pictures?
Uh,
That I'd see. That I'd love
That's
to
for
see.
Pass Point After Dark.
Yeah.
Members only.
If I find some, I'll show them next month. All right, guys. Oh, I just thought this was very interesting. This is an open letter to the comic collecting community from Metropolis Collectibles. I never knew there used to be 100-point grading system, and they just decided that it was so difficult to use. And this was like back in 1999. They came out with basically the 10-point system. I never knew the history of how they got the grading system, from years gone by that we always know from, 0.5 to 10, but it looks like it started in 1999, so I thought it was interesting just to throw this up there.
Interesting. That's the year before CGC opened their doors.
Oh, really?
So that's probably where that came from. And Metropolis Comics is a huge, huge comic house.
Yeah. So I just thought this was very interesting. So that's why I put this up here. So Dan Talks Comics. This is the time where I usually show slides, but these guys have such a busy life, 24/7. There's no slides, but they're still going to talk. And these are my favorite segments. First comes Dan, then right after is going to be Nando. You ready, Dan?
Before we begin, did you got those slides that I sent you at the con with Nando? Is that available? I didn't. Again, I'm so unprepared today.
No.
Okay, we'll do it next time.
Yeah.
If we can bring that up. But I'm ready to go, sir.
Okay, you're up.
Okay, so there are two things that come to mind. One is that I've been very critical of the company called CGC, formerly known as CGC. I call it Blackstone Grading Company. The latest is that they have their new signature series. They bought out JSA, which JSA is now poisoned by this big company here. Again, Blackstone has a history of buying companies where they see that there's money to be made, milk as much out of the situation, and then dump whatever's left. And I still see that with CGC and now with JSA. The latest is that instead of using the yellow label, which is their verified label, that they have a witness to watch that someone signing a comic or doing a sketch of sorts, they have a lighter colored yellow with a black border. That's fine. Some might be confused by that because, again, we're a very color-oriented society. And so I wish they would have chosen a different color. In fact, I've got one right here. The CBCS, for their verified signature, is their pink label with a red border. And I think that's fine. But the problem is, of course, it's a money grab in the sense where they're now going into the area where CBCS and PGX and EGS have done. Well, they will find a way to verify a signature at a cost. But the problem is that now JSA, and if anyone knows, if you guys know, or if anyone in the chat knows, did JSA grade the signature itself? In other words, if there's a high quality signature, like that was true? Okay. Like here's a Stan Lee signature right here. This is my Avengers 4 verified signature. Anyone who has been in the comic world any length of time knows that's a Stan Lee signature. No one would really question that. I don't like the fact that if that's what JSA did, I don't like the fact that they're doing this in grading comics, because now that's going to add another effect to the market regarding this signature versus the one I got. I don't have it with me here. I had Stan Lee sign my Fantastic Four 48. It was the last year of his life. And, he's left-handed and he's kind of shaky, and it's not a very clean signature. I don't like that at all. That should not be involved in the comic world, but it is now, again, thanks to Blackstone, because why? They're going to make money off of this. So how this is all going to work out, I don't know. People are still going to buy. Again, CGC, they're still believing it's the old CGC. It isn't. I keep reminding people that it's no longer the company that they love, that we used to love and trust. It's now just new conglomerate, because, again, they keep finding new and creative ways to find and get money out of you. So how that's going to affect the market, I don't know. Nando could probably address that. Again, it's one little. I have a personal resentment towards it because, again, I don't like being lied to. I like to be upfront and honest about everything. And if someone's not going to be that transparent, that bothers me, especially with this passion that I have with comics. I love these comics, and I just don't like this giant conglomerate sticking their gigantic hand, reaching into and bringing out as much money as possible, which they are. But on the good side was that I did go to see the Short Boxed live convention in Santa Clara, which is right next to Levi Stadium, where they play the Niners play. I'd never been there, actually. I'd never been that close before. It was an exciting con. I was completely unprepared. The only reason I went is to see that guy right there, Nando. That's the only reason I went. And again, I'm so busy. My life is so busy right now. I thought, maybe just take a moment to see who's there, what's going on. All these stars are there. It's a huge, huge con. I mean, it was so compacted. It wasn't a huge auditorium, but some big name collectors were there. Big name sellers were there. And Nando will talk for himself regarding he was invited there. I was more than impressed that Nando has been invited to this venue with all these great people. And let me tell you, when you go to these cons, people are still spending money. Even though the economy is very, very bad, it's very shaky, there's still a desire to go there. And it turned out to be, even though being unprepared, one of my best and funnest cons I've ever been to. Nando was an absolute delight. I got to see him in action. I'm walking, we introduced each other. He was very kind to me, letting me in and give me the special badge so I can get in early. And so we talked for a minute, and then I said, I'm going to go look through the hall, and I did. I want to scope out, what possible purchases and so forth. Then I came back, and Nando's working with a couple of customers, and he didn't see me. And he's doing exactly what he said. He's personable. He's working with them, and he is just, again, if he makes a sale or not, doesn't matter. He's made the connection. That's how he uses his approach to make a connection with people, by being personal with them. And so, Nando, I was more than impressed with you. Your prices were fantastic, and you and I will show this on the next episode. This is one guy that I actually love seeing. I've met him in person. Mickey Finnegan, aka Swagglehoss. And so we're talking, and I got a few pictures with him. And then we go back to Nando's booth, and I said, "Hey, look who I found." And we talked for a little bit. And then I remembered what I wanted from him. I said, he's doing these autographs from his Darkhawk series. He loves his character Darkhawk. I don't know why. I haven't read the comic. And I'm thinking, Nando, do you have a Darkhawk one? And lo and behold, he has one. He says, "Yes, got one right here. It's really high grade." Gives me this huge deal. He practically gave it to me. I'm like, dude, no, we'll do this. And Mickey Finnegan signs the Darkhawk #1. This is a treasured moment. It was absolutely perfect, because I'm like, I didn't expect this, but this is probably one of the best purchases, most sentimental purchases I got. And the other was back to Nando's sales. The prices were fantastic. They were very fair. They were priced to move. And he's always trying to, he was trying to give me a deal. I'm like, Nando, stop it. I'm going to give the fair market value for this here, because you already had the prices labeled at a very, very fair price, and everyone loved these here. Do you mind if I show one of the prices for this one here, Nando? Because This is what I got. This is a cool one. This is the first appearance of the Super Sons. I'd seen this, but I've never had a copy. But everyone loved this. It's his little logo there with the price and a description of what's on there. I mean, that's a very fair price for this really gorgeous comic.
Nice looking. So
if you take your time, do what I did. And again, it took me a couple hours to drive down there, but it was totally worth it. It was one of the best cons I'd ever had. But again, it was refreshing, because the market for comic lovers, we're going to love comics no matter what. We're still going to buy no matter how bad things are. So it was a very, very refreshing and just a fun event for me. And Nando, my brother, I cannot thank you enough. You were such a prince. I couldn't. The whole thing wouldn't have been anywhere near as fun if you hadn't been there.
Well, thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. It was awesome to finally get to meet the man and the myth and the legend in person. So that was a fun part for my behalf too, and being able to provide books to get to you that you didn't have and you wanted to do that. And I think the cherry on the top was obviously getting Swag to sign Darkhawk for you, because it was like, Nando, do you have one? And I was like,
boom, wait, before it's in my hand.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I was able to find it right there. So that was really awesome.
That's awesome. You know what? When I buy a comic book, it just makes me feel happy. I've been collecting comic books over freaking 50 years now, and every time I buy one, I go, it just makes me feel happy. So that's why I collect comic books.
Me too.
A passion of my life. But before we get to Nando's spot, we have some people have joined us. Dave Cia, my bro Mello, dope to see you as always.
Oh, let me stop here. Ephraim, that's Dave Collect from Spine Ticks, and I'm going to see him. He lives up in the Reno Tahoe area. My wife and I are going to Reno tomorrow, So I'll be seeing him either tomorrow night or Friday. So he's a true bro, and I'll be delighted to meet him in person.
Yeah, he's sitting right here, Dan. Looking forward to meeting you the next few days. Cool. Right on. Nando, you ready for your spot?
Sure.
All right. This is what's new with the Nando night. Before you go talking, Nando, when you guys were driving to Santa Clara and you went on Instagram just to talk, to me, that was, I got really entertained by that, just to let you know. I just happened to be on Instagram. I go, this is cool. He's driving to, his next show and he's just talking about stuff. So I found that very entertaining. But anyways.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. We have a couple road trips coming up. Obviously, this weekend we have Comic-Con Revolution in Ontario, California this weekend. So that's not too long of a drive. It's only about a 45-minute hour drive. So we'll go live for a little bit with that. And then next weekend we have Phoenix Fan Fusion. So that'll be a little bit of a drive. So we'll probably do that. But I think we're leaving at like 2 a.m. because load in is at 8:30. So you're trying to get right on time to get right up there so we can just pull the van in, do the load in, and go to our room and sleep. So, But we'll do that. I'll take that feedback, and it was good to, we'll do it.
Yeah, was there anything? So what's going on with you? I mean, we know with Shortbox, so I'm sure you want to talk about that first,
Yeah, first of all, it was again, seeing Dan was great to meet him in person. We've obviously had lots of interactions before with Ian's podcast before. And then, obviously being on your show, Efren, this has been, a lot of fun to get to know Dan a lot better. But getting to meet him in person and just seeing his enthusiasm and his excitement at the show, that was my gift, right? Because it's like, I'm on the other side of the table. While I love the books and I buy some books for myself, my joy is being able to facilitate the books to people's hands and spread that joy so people can go home with it. That's really what I really do enjoy. And, so getting to see him be super excited about it was awesome because, he had said, this is the best con I've been to in years. And I'm like, so that's awesome that we got to be able to provide that experience and an opportunity for him to have that experience. So it was, I've said this before to a couple of my friends, and last night I went live with a friend of mine with Comic Cave, and this is no slight to any other show production runner or any creator that are out there, because there's a lot of great show creators that are out there. This was the first time I've ever felt that the vendor was the star of the show. The setup of the room was it wasn't a large venue, but it was spaced well enough to where you fit 20 vendors, where everybody had a lot of room. I mean, not every vendor had 3 or 4 tables, but every vendor had at least a 10 by 10. Some vendors had, bigger ones. I mean, I said I would take notes, so I had notes ready. I mean, there was the 20 different vendors, just to shout out some of them. You had A1's Comics, Amazing Heroes Comics, Bedrock Comics, Bird City Comics, Kip and Cal, Fantastic Worlds, Graham Crackers, Harley Yee, Red Hood Comics, Torpedo. I could add T&K to that list. But this was these were a who's who, right? This was a top 20 performing vendors through the app from sales and units. So this was a big show. It made us feel special. Like, they highlighted us. Gene, shout out to Gene, did a segment where he talked about the excitement in comics and stuff, and he even put me out there on blast and said, Fernando has actually grown to the point where he left his corporate life and went into comics full time. And I didn't know he was going to do that, so that took me that kind of sideswiped me a little bit, and really was a nice shout out that he gave me. But the artists that they had there, they had guys like John Beatty, Kelly Jones, Michael Cho, Rose Best, Jerry Dugan, Jason Sean Alexander, Walden Wong, Maria the Wolf, just to name a few. And then they also had, I forget the guy who runs I Have Issues podcast. And then also, our favorite, podcaster, no offense, Efren, Swag, right? Swag was there. He got to speak. He got to give a message on collecting and how no book is rare. And then, he got to do the rounds and shake hands and kiss babies and stuff like that. So he got to do that. But it was just a really great experience. And, it was a 6-hour show. It was 11 to 5. It wasn't a multiple day show. I think they do a really good job of making it one day special. You get in, you get out, like, you get everything you want right at your fingertips. It was a really, really great experience. And from my point, on my end of it, as a vendor, my 1 6-hour show with Shortbox was better than 3 days at WonderCon.
Wow.
So and like Dan said, people were out buying. I mean, I came home with some of my boxes that are low on inventory now, that are empty. Like, you know, we're packing them up, and I'm like, oh, this is empty. Like, you kind of like that. So, it was the best slab sale show that we've had up to date. But with that market and I think that demographic, I think that's what we're looking at for it. But you know, somebody asked me, do I think that because in the Northern California area there may not be as many shows, did this clientele that came in, were they more ready to spend more because of that, or was it just because of the area? I think it's a little bit of everything. I think Shortbox is brand and name pulls a certain type of buyer, but it also has a standard that they keep now. So it's, you know, you're bringing in people that know that you're going to get good quality product out of this show. You're going to get good deals. You're going to get good prices. And it's our job as vendors to maintain that, I think. To, you know, one thing that I talked to Gene about is I said, hey, you know, you invited me and asked me to do this show with you. And I said, I'm super humbled and honored to do it. But my job and my end of the bargain is I got to make sure that I produce for you. Like, I got to make sure I have my prices, my product, and my personality ready to go for you, because, you know, not only am I representing my brand, but I'm representing your brand. So I think that's what it was. But it was fantastic. I'd love to do that show again, and would love to go back and do it all over again, because it was just that good.
Nice. I was going to ask you, so you said you came back with, you know, lighter boxes. I mean, now that you're a full-time vendor, you got to think, you know, I got to get more books, you know, I got to keep this up, but that's your, you know, livelihood now. So
yeah, that's the job. The job is to fill the boxes. The job is to price them correctly. The job is to make sure things are accurate. That's my gig, you know? So when I hear the horror stories out there of people that are not doing certain things, it's kind of like, that's your job, that's your gig. You know, you sign up and agree to do these things, and that's what we're supposed to do. So I fortunately have not come across any vendor that didn't do that. So I don't, you know, whenever I hear the horror stories, I'm always like, I don't really know who that was. But from us, you know, what we see and what we experience, it's pretty fair across the board. I mean, Dan was there. He saw prices across the board. I didn't get out of my booth at all. So I didn't get to walk around and do anything fun except talk to everybody else who was there. That was it. Like, I got to talk to every single person that came by the booth. You know, Dan is very gracious in saying that he got to hear me work, but it's like, that's what I do. Like, it was, everybody came in, and I just wanted to talk to everybody, make sure they all knew what the deals were that we were doing, make sure if they were looking for something, like, can I help them find it? You know, some people ask to negotiate on prices, and, you know, if they're good offers, why not? The idea is to get the books home with people. But again, you know, we've had to hustle for the past week and a half to get new books ready to go for Ontario this weekend, and to make sure that we still have enough supply to go into Phoenix before we go hunt more. And, you know, it's an ongoing process, right? Like, it's officially been 3 weeks that I've left my former life, and so far it's been probably the best decision I've made. And, you know, I've had the wonderful support of my wife, who basically called my bluff and said, if you're going to do it, go do it. If not, then you need to let this go and go work, you know, and just figure something else out. And, you know, we've been able to make this work. I've had more time with my kids at home. I've had more time with my wife. You know, it's just been, I've been sleeping better. So it's good. I'm super happy right now, and we have a fun full year still to go. So June has a couple shows. July is a vacation month. July is going to be quiet for us. We're not doing any physical shows because we're going to be out of town, and then we're attending San Diego. But the rest of the year is busy, so it's going to be great. I'm excited.
So Comic-Con Revolution, which is this upcoming Saturday and Sunday, correct?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, Ontario, California. Comic-Con Revolution. It's a really fantastic show. This was actually it'll be my second year doing it. Last year was my first one as my first like multi-day show. So It was a really big experience to do that. But this will be my second year doing it, so I have a little bit more experience on what to bring for this show. The voice cast of X-Men 97 will be there, so I'm anticipating a lot of X-Men stuff this weekend. So we definitely are coming heavy X-Men this weekend.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be at your booth, you know, at least picking up 2 books. I already bought 2 books from him, so
yeah.
I'm sure
I will tell you, there's a couple Silver Age books that just got dropped today. There's an FF, there's a Thor, and there's a Flash that we just added today, and they are really, really clean copies. And I try to have really nice presenting books, but I didn't have to put these in Mylars to look good.
Wow.
And yeah, so these are some pretty well. It's the Flash. I think it's Flash 215. It's a mostly black cover. That it's when Golden Age Flash meets Silver Age Flash, and that's I want to say it's like an 8.5 presentation on a black cover. So it looks really good.
Can't wait to go to your booth and go through all your books and see which ones I'm going to pick up. I'm going to pick up at least 2 or 3 probably.
There you go. There you go. And Dan, Dan, just before we go to the next segment, Dan, I want to say thank you for your patronage. You didn't have to buy all the books you wanted to buy, and I'm all one of them because in case your wife is listening. But I really do appreciate the support. When people always tell you that, hey man, I really support you. I want to support you. I want to support you. It's like, you don't have to buy a big book. You can just buy a book. And the fact that you came by, it really hit me here. So I really appreciate that. So thank you very much for that support.
Well, thank you. It was a mutual, thing, because I bought the books I wanted. You had them at this great price. I couldn't say no. That's why you were trying to be very kind and drop the price. I said, no. This is what it's worth. These are more than fair. And you're the best negotiator out there. I mean, you're the most personable of all those people. And you had some big competitors out there. You had A1 Comics. You had Lee's Comics that was local to the area. I forget who else was out there. Excuse me, but you were by far the most outstanding salesperson there. I was thinking about this. If I had not known you and I went to this con, I would have thought, wow, this guy is very nice. I want to see this guy again. Because again, the best people are the ones you wanted to talk to. And you were very, very personable, very knowledgeable. And again, the prices were fantastic. So you just keep doing, if you're making a living at this, you just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing just fine. But thank you. And you gave me some great deals on, the best one I think I got was that ASM 45 with the lizard cover.
That yellow lizard cover. That was a good one.
That's a pretty one. That's not going anywhere anytime soon. So that'll be in my collection into my ripe old age. Oh, wait, I'm already there. Never mind. Anyway, Nando, thank you so much for everything.
Cool. So, yeah, I'll be seeing you this Saturday, Nando, for sure.
Yep. I got your books. They're ready to go.
Thanks, man. Okay, you guys ready for the rest of the show?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have anything to show and tell? I have one thing. I showed it to Nando, and I'm going to go first, and I'll show it to you guys. And let me see if I can make my screen bigger here. Let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, here we go. Let me see. Oops, that's not it. Let me see here. I'm going to try to make my screen darker. So let me know if you guys can see this. I picked this up this week, and it finally came in. If you can see this. So it's all the X-Men 1 covers.
Yeah.
So it just came in today. So perfect for today's show.
Perfect for being the finale of X-Men 97 season 1.
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about that later on.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about it. We'll have to say cover your ears for spoilers, but we gotta talk because that was boy howdy.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna talk about the series overall. So I've seen episode up to episode 7. I haven't seen the last 3. Do any of you guys got anything to show? Dan?
Oh,
everything I have is stored and put away already. So
and again, I'm completely unprepared. Oh wait, well, I did get. What did I get here? Okay, speaking of X-Men, I got this at one of the vendors here. A pretty fair price here. X-Men 120.
Nice.
I've been looking for this book for a while. It was a mid-grade. There's like some water damage, and the guy priced it very, very fairly. And the other one, and I will show them next time. And again, I apologize for being so unprepared. Another one, I have one. I got this at a claim sale, but then it's got some writing on it. But I got a cleaner one, and it's Fantastic Four 46 First Black Bolt.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think the Inhumans, even though the show wasn't very good, it's still a great idea to get the Inhumans storyline. And so I need a few more, but that was a good pickup for a very good price. I think I paid $100 for it.
Nice,
but it was really
That's
clean.
Great.
This got that from, what was that, Lee's Comics? Yeah, he let me open it up. Most people were pretty nice. And when I went back to the, I'm always respectful, and I ask, can I go back to your, because they got the stuff on the wall here. I don't want to just walk there. I said, hey, do you mind if I take a peek there? And they always say yes. And then I go in there and I just look. I'm very careful and respectful. And I say, okay, I'll take this one, just put it there. And yeah, it always works out.
Oh my God! Real quick, if my buddy Stash Dad Collectibles is still on, or Stash Dad TV is still on, the fact that we got somebody to say that I asked to come back behind a booth because we have a story.
Oh man, I can imagine.
One of the last shows we did, and this one person just doesn't care and just walks right up to the booth, and I'm like, "Excuse me, like you're in my this is my area."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, when I ask people,
so thanks, Dan.
when I ask vendors to look at their books, I mean, one guy gave me rubber gloves to put on, you know, because it was an older book, and I'm very careful. You know, I tell them sometimes to take the book out for me, but I don't want to get stuck on tape or anything like that. God forbid, you know. So I have them open up the book for me so I can just take a look at it, you know. So, but yeah, all right, you guys ready for this? Get going. This is entertainment news, just like the comic book news. This is just entertainment news that has popped up, and I thought it would be some interest. And looks like I think we all knew this was coming. Disney confirms plans to reduce Marvel's output to 2 to 3 movies and 2 series a year. Kevin Feige and Louis D'Esposito admit to a rough time at Marvel Studios. I think we all knew this was coming. You know, their movies just haven't been up to par compared to when they first came out. So I think they got to take a breath and think of what they're doing, you know, before they go forward, you know, with anything, you know. So, but we'll see. And then DC's coming up with their movies coming up. I think next year, the first ones, you know.
Superman's coming up.
Yep. And let me see what else here. This is I've been seeing this commercials on Instagram. Oreo is doing something with Star Wars. Obviously, it's a cookie. I haven't seen what it looks like, but it just grabbed my interest, and I just figured I'd put it up. There's this Oreo coming soon to your galaxy. I'm sure it's probably going to be Oreo cookie with some Star Wars design on the cookie itself. But I keep on seeing this pop up on my feed on Instagram, so I figured I'd just share with you guys. So, oh, it looks like we got a Space Ferret. Thanks for showing up,
Craig.
Another good guy, Craig. Yeah. So.
I wonder if since Craig's in there, is he coming this weekend or is Ian coming? Because I remember Ian was saying something about he was going to go to Comic-Con Revolution. But Craig, are you going to be going this weekend too?
It's near his neighborhood, I think. He lives a little bit more up by the LA area.
Orange County. Yeah.
Let us know, Craig, if you're going to be at Comic-Con Revolution. Oh, Comic-Con now, because I'm going to be there Saturday. I think Stash Dad is talking about this cookie coming out, Oreos. So, like I said, it just keeps on popping up on my feed on Instagram, so I decided just to put it up there. Let's see what else we have here. This one is not, I think it's not surprising either. Disney and Warner Brothers announced Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max streaming bundle. So I think they're just trying to they're probably losing viewership. They're probably doing this because they want to grab more people to watch their streaming channels. So
Marvel and DC are getting closer together. We're getting closer to an animated amalgam series. That's all.
You think that will ever happen?
I doubt it.
Well, they will if the money justifies it and they can all come to an agreement. Again, if they can make a fortune off a crossover, like what have I got here? Like this. Things like this are always popular. You know, get a little DC versus Marvel comic here.
Yeah.
They're always buy because it's such an interesting dynamic when you have the two franchises merge. But I'm sorry, if I could back up for a little bit, when Kevin Feige made the announcement that they're going to scale back on their movies. You know, the biggest problem with that was that I've said for the longest time, most of well, I shouldn't say. My speculation is that a lot of the people putting these movies together have never read the comic books. I mean, all you have to do is open a comic, read it. You've got the storyline already there. You've got the costumes there. You've got the characters. You have the dialogue. All you have to do is read what's already written for you and then transfer that to the big screen. Now I know the transference isn't that easy, but that's the biggest mistake that I'm seeing with Feige and company putting people in charge who have never read a comic before. Probably the most blatant example is Ang Lee. I don't think he's ever read a Hulk comic. He had no business being director of that movie. It was a horrible movie because you could tell there were things that were just missing in it. So had they focused in on the quality and what won people over, because again, people are buying these books because they're great storylines. So why don't they put that into their movies, in their scripts in the first place? Why, I don't know. But that's why they're not doing very well right now. Now they're having to downsize and produce. I think they're going for higher quality. But if they produce something like Ms. Marvel, the Captain Marvel movie, or the what was it, the one that just came out with the Madam Web?
Oh yeah,
It
Madam
was
Web.
just awful. Come on, don't have. What was the point of producing the movie in the first place?
But that was Sony. So, I mean, Marvel didn't have anything to do with that.
But
So,
that they should meet. That's the first tie. That's the first tie that I would cut loose. I wouldn't bother to use Sony anymore. They clearly don't have their pulse.
yeah.
They're on storyline and what the fans want. So I would get rid of them immediately. I can't think of a good Sony. Well, maybe. Well, didn't they do X-Men at the very beginning, 20 years ago? Or
Yeah.
was that? Who was that? But they've lost.
No, that was
they've
Fox.
lost their way ever
That was
since.
Fox who did the
I
X-Men.
was like, Fox did the
Okay,
X-Men.
Fox. Okay, that's right. That's right. No, I don't trust them. I'd get rid of them, and you'd save a fortune by getting rid of that franchise. Find people that can produce, and I would start with the comic world. There's lots of people that are in the industry, even collectors themselves. You want to have feedback from your fans. There's a lot of things I expect, and I'd love to see on the big screen. I'm not going to see it because, again, they're sort of going in their own world. Anyway, that's that. When you showed that to me, Ephraim, that was a hot point with me. I'm still kind of bugged by that because, again, in my mind, it's not that difficult to do.
So,
It's not like you don't have source material right in front of you.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
I agree, Craig. Marvel's. It's not the Avengers or Captain America, but it was a fun movie to watch. Like,
Yeah. It was
I sat there with my
entertaining.
kid. I sat with my kids and they watched it with me, and it was pretty fun.
Okay, let's move forward. Oops, hang on for a second here. We already talked about Oreo cookies. This one says Sam Wilson's Captain America suit at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier versus the new suit for Brave New World. This is just a quick, screenshot of basically of the new suit that he's going to be wearing for Brave New World on the right-hand side. It's a little bit more darker tone, almost a little bit more looking like Captain America's actual, suit when the Steve Rogers suit, I should say. At least it looks like that to me a little bit. So just felt like showing that. And let's see what else we got here. This is this is entertainment news. The first trailer for Cobra Kai season 6 reveals the final season will consist of 15 episodes released in 3 batches. I really enjoy this series, so I thought it's been a good, almost a nostalgia from the original one, So it looks like it's coming to an end though, and it looks like they're gonna have a remake of Naked Gun starring Liam Neeson. So we'll see how that one goes.
Why? That's the last person I would choose. Liam Neeson. I like him as a serious actor, but not a comedic actor. I guess he can pull it off.
He's got some dry humor, and
That's
he's pretty funny because you don't expect it, and when he nails it, you're kind of like, what? So
I did not know this. Okay, I did not know this about him.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see what else we got here. I don't know. I talked about this, I think, last month. This skit on Saturday Night Live with Ryan Gosling when they played Beavis and Butthead live, and now they're talking about they're going to make it, about a live action film. It was a very funny skit. If you've never seen it, they just broke characters so much. I just couldn't stop from laughing. It was a really enjoyable skit. So I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. And it looks like tomorrow is going to be the end of Young Sheldon. And it looks like Jim Parsons and Mayim Bialik are back together again as Sheldon and Amy in the Young Sheldon series premiere. That show's been on for 7 years now. Those little kids were like 7 or 6 years old when they first started. Now they're 15 and 16 years old.
They're not little anymore. And I've really enjoyed that show. They've really built the characters and the storyline very well.
Yeah. So tomorrow's series finale is going to be an hour long. So that's another series that's ending. And let me see. Here we go again with Batman. I didn't know this was going to be a new show. Batman Caped Crusader, the spiritual successor to Batman, the animated series. Will debut Thursday, August 1st on Prime Video. And this is some pictures of the character Batman on the left, and on the right, specifically the Harley Quinn. They're saying she's going to be a darker, more like almost sinister character compared to what she's been in other, animated series and the comic books. So you can tell just by looking at her, it's just a darker looking Harley Quinn. So really curious to see how these characters are going to be portrayed. So I'm really looking forward to this, especially since I didn't even know what's coming. So
I'm all in for this.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
sure.
all in. I'm all in for this one.
Yeah. So it's coming August 1st on Prime Video. Can't wait for that. Let me see here. What else we got here? And this is a little bit of Fantastic Four news. Looks like there's two new characters that have been, two new actors that have been added to the cast. One is Cobra Kai's Paul Walter Hauser as a character already teased in the official poster. It looks like he's going to be the Mole Man. And John Malkovich, they don't know who he's going to be playing, you know. So
I think it's pretty obvious who's going to be playing Willie Lumpkin, the mailman. He was always a comedic side character, so that's probably who he's going to be playing.
I heard rumor that or well, not rumor, but people were throwing it out there that John Malkovich could be playing the voice of the robot.
Oh, could be
Herbie.
Herbie, yeah.
Herbie, yeah. Sorry.
Now the other rumor I don't know if you have this, Ephraim, but the latest rumor back to Liam Neeson that he might be Doctor Doom. Now he has the chops to do that. That's going to be the best Doctor Doom I had heard and seen was the animated series back in the mid-90s. That voice actor was fantastic. And so it can be done, but you need someone who has that kind of presence and gravitas and strength. And Neeson has it all. I hope that he does become the Doctor Doom character. He would be absolutely dynamite.
There is also one other rumor that got thrown around with Doom that Giancarlo Esposito could be Doom.
Yeah, I can see him doing that
because he's just said that he will be in the MCU, and everyone thought originally that he would be Professor X.
Oh yeah,
and he said it'll be coming soon. And I think the Fantastic Four film is set to debut before any X-Men film is coming. So I can see he might be in Fantastic Four. So if it is, I could really see him doing a Doom.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Stash Dad agrees with that's the role. It's a straight man role, dry and act normal within the lunacy. Perfect for Liam. Yep.
Yeah.
I think so too. And Space Fair is talking about Batman. I will that long. I'm not sure what he means by this, but I will that long-eared Cal or wear that long-eared Al any day, I think. And Stash Dad, I think he means James Earl Jones.
James Real Jones?
So let me see.
I'll take that, yeah. I will take that long-eared Cal any day, yep.
All right, let's get on to the next slide. We're almost at the end. I put this for the kids. If any kids, Nando's kids may like this. Samantha Lorraine has been cast as Dora the Explorer in a new live-action movie. So, and see, damn autocorrect. Something's
I hate that.
I'm just like, what the heck are they saying, man? So,
I got you, Craig. I picked up what you were putting down.
Yeah.
And this one I heard. These are just rumors. Chris Evans will reportedly reprise his role as Captain America in a limited series about Steve Rogers returning the Infinity Stones after Endgame. What do you guys think about this? You think they should just not bring back Chris Evans or just move forward? But I mean, I would watch this, and it's going to be episodic TV, probably about 5 or 6 episodes, you know, so.
I mean, we'll probably watch it. I mean, it's gonna. I mean, if it's gonna be on TV, we're gonna watch it eventually. Either we're gonna watch it because we either want to see how bad it is, or we want to watch it because it's gonna be compelling and be great. So it's. I mean, one way or another, we're gonna watch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Was this the Nomad series? I thought that was going to be a movie portraying all this.
Maybe, I don't know. That's like, these are just rumors that are going on right now.
Right.
So
I'm very interested in that because that's a huge storyline all by itself regarding what happened. He goes, as a young man with the hammer of Thor. That's a combination all by itself. Going back to return these stones where where they all came from and so forth. I think that's a great series, and I hope it is in the form of a movie with Nomad because Chris Evans is not a small actor. He's a big name, and I think there's going to be probably a call to bring him back. He's still a young man. He's still young enough to play the Captain America role. So it depends on, the Sam Wilson character, how well he does with all that. So everything's up in the air regarding Cap, but I'm hoping that this is going to lead to more performances from Chris Evans.
Secret Wars, guys. When and if that movie comes out, I'm not, obviously I can't guarantee anything, but for them to come back, it would probably be for Secret Wars. make a big splash.
I just
Yeah,
hope
they
we
would
live
have
long
to
enough
have-
to see it.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Secret Wars gets out before the 20-year anniversary of MCU. I think because we're looking at 2028 is the 20-year
Yes.
anniversary.
Yes.
So
Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get Secret Wars by then. So 4 more years. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so this is my recommended show, like I do for comic books. I think Nando, we already talked about this. I think you know what's coming up, and I haven't seen it yet. I'm up to episode 7, but I love this series, and it is X-Men '97.
Ugh,
I-
I have blasphemy that's going to come off my tongue pretty soon.
Yeah, I was I had to watch the original series again before I started watching this, and I just finished it a couple days ago. So I've been binge watching '97. I stopped at episode 5 of this. I was like, wow, this is reminding me of Marvel when they were making those movies back, the Iron Man movies and the Captain America and all those great movies, reminding me that feeling. That episode 5 was deep. I was like, damn, they are not messing around, So this is my, recommended. Anybody if you haven't watched this, you got to watch it. And it just ended today, right, Nando?
Yeah, last season finale launched today at midnight. So
Yeah.
I was up and I actually watched it at midnight and went
Okay.
to bed after. So I was.
Yeah, I got 3 episodes to go. I've been taking my time. I'm going to take my time watching the last 3 and really enjoy this. Have you watched this at all, Dan?
I'm ashamed to admit I've only seen the first episode. I'm not even finished the first episode. So I've got some catching up to do. But it looks great. It does look great. So I know you guys were ashamed of me. I don't blame you.
No,
I bow my head.
Oh my God, I'm wearing a DC shirt right now and I'm going to get probably chopped at the knees for this one. But I will not put this above Batman the Animated Series, but I will put it alongside of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
right
that
now.
good, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you notice
My DC card just got revoked. I felt it out of my pocket. So there you go.
Dan, you said you watched episode 1, and you know
Yes.
how the opening sequence when they show all the X-Men? Okay, you've seen Jean Grey. Okay, she has her hair, all not in a ponytail. She has it all long.
Okay.
Okay, you just wait to see what happens. Then after that, she's gonna have it in a ponytail, and you'll know why.
Well, I was blown away with the opening sequence where they're fighting this faction or whatever,
Yeah,
and they have a giant hand from one of the
Sentinels.
Sentinels,
Yeah.
and he turns it over and it fires whatever. That was cool. That was a very cool out of the box concept.
Yeah,
So now I definitely will see the rest of it.
yeah, it's been a great series, and I mean they're already announced they're gonna do season number 2.
If I remember reading correctly, I think they said they've already approved season 2 and 3.
Oh wow.
So not surprised.
Yeah, it's been very well received, and I have really enjoyed it. So that's my recommended show to watch. I'm sure everybody has watched it. And let me see what else I got here. Okay, let's talk sports. I always throw a little bit of sports at the end of our show, and we are coming to the end. And I'm a baseball fan first and foremost. I've always loved baseball first when I was a little kid. When I used to see Willie Mays play, Willie McCovey, all the Giants, I used to go see the A's play, those A's in the 70s. I think one of the few teams, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, that have won 3 straight World Series, correct?
The A's did? Yes. 72, 73, 74.
Yeah, I used to like those teams too. But these are the current standings right now, and I'm just showing them. We still got like about 140 games to go before the season is over with in September and October. But, I mean, the Phillies are playing really well, and Orioles in the American League East. It wasn't a fluke. Last year they did well, and it looks like they're still doing it this year. The Yankees are in second place. And the National League Central, we have the Brewers and the Cubs fighting it out. And in the National League, the Dodgers are in first place. So I think they're going to be there.
But the Dodgers, the Giants did beat the Dodgers today, so there you go.
Oh, they did? Okay.
They did.
Yeah, they won 1 out of the 3. And in the American League, I already said the Orioles. And in the Central, the Guardians, which used to be the Cleveland Indians. And in the American League West, surprise, it's not the Astros. It's the Seattle Mariners who are in first place so far. The Rangers are in second place. So.
Yeah, if I could quickly comment on all 6 of them, the biggest flaw with the Braves is that Olsen is he's batting $2. He's almost batting $1 something, which is not the Matt Olson that everyone understands. Once he wakes up, that's going to be a huge shot in the arm for the Braves, and they will challenge the Phillies. Yeah, the Cubs that's the huge surprise of that particular league in the Central because of the new manager that they have. Is it Craig Counsell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's got that team turned around here, and the team is not as strong as the record indicates. But Counsell, again, with good guidance, you have a strong team. That's why I was disappointed when they got rid of Madden. Joe Madden was an outstanding manager. They should have kept him, but it is what it is. Dodgers. I saw the Dodgers and Giants with my daughter on Monday. And the Giants are just, they're hurting. They've got two guys on there that are batting under $1. There's no way you're going to beat the Dodgers or anybody else if you have that on your lineup because they're scrambling. Dodgers, if they screw up this with all the money they've spent, if they don't win the World Series, they'll look like the biggest idiots, for the last several decades. Yankees are actually not as good as their record looks. They're actually a weaker team, but they still find a way to win. The name Guardians still bugs me. It's the Cleveland Indians. I'm sorry. They're all the PC crap. That was you can never now see the Cleveland Indians win the World Series again. So it's going to be the Guardians. Great.
Look at the Cardinals. They're in last place. I mean, that's the second year in a row. They haven't done well.
I'm celebrating. Yes. I'm laughing at them. Yes. All right. And lastly, the big surprise of the year, the Oakland A's. Look at that. I mean, they're not 500, but they are not the dead last team, and they don't roll over and play dead like they did last year. And again, as an Oakland fan, an Oakland native, I want to go to as many A's games as possible. It'll be the last time because they're moving forever, sadly, to Las Vegas. And that's just going to be such a heartbreak. I'm just disgusted by the Major League Baseball itself for what they've done and what they continue to do. Anyway, that's my report for the month.
The A's are going to be in Sacramento for 3 years, Dan, starting next year. Are you going to go at least?
No, not interested. No, once they're gone, they're gone. It's not the Oakland A's anymore.
I felt the same way back in the day. The Giants were threatening to move to Tampa Bay.
Right, I remember that.
I said, if they leave, I'm done. I'm not going to root for them anymore. But yeah, these are just the current standings, and we'll see, what happens in September and who makes the World Series. My money's on the Phillies in the National League, and I think I'm going to pick the Orioles. I like to see them in the World Series.
You think the Phillies will beat the Dodgers?
Yes.
For the championship? Wow. Okay.
I do. So we'll see what happens in September. Okay. Let's see what else I got here. And NBA, like 2 months of playoffs is ongoing as we speak. And these are the remaining teams, the Celtics and the Cavaliers. Boston leads 3-1. Knicks and Pacers. Knicks won yesterday, so now they're up 3-2. And Mavericks and Thunder, I think they're playing today, if I remember correctly. And the Nuggets won yesterday, so they're up to 3-2. So it looks like a couple of series are going to be ending pretty soon. But the NBA championship has still got about a month to go. They really stretch out their playoffs, like 3 to 4 days off between games. I never understand why they do that.
Money. It's a 2-day turnaround on travel day for travels. So like the first 2 games you have a day off in between. You have like games 1 and 2 will have a day off, and then games 2 between 2 and 3 you'll have like a 2-day off for travel. And just depending on TV scheduling, you may have a 3rd day in there sometimes. But usually first week of June is when you're starting at the finals to start rolling out. Usually like around June 6th, June 7th is when the finals really start. So,
and
I don't see I hate saying this as a Laker fan.
Look like you froze there, Nando.
He hated it so much he didn't want to say it.
Yeah. So we'll go on.
He's back. What were you going to say? You said you hate saying this as a Laker fan?
Oh, that I don't see anybody beating Boston this year.
Don't agree with you. I don't think they have the killer instinct. I think the winner's going to come from the West.
I mean, to me, basketball season ended a while ago, so it doesn't matter who wins now. But as long as Boston doesn't win, I'm okay.
Okay, so we agree on that. So I think it's going to be the Nuggets again. I think they're going to find a way, So, but anyways, let's see if I have anything else here. I just put this up because I think it's so fascinating how one person can almost turn around, especially women's basketball in college. Caitlin Clark, how much of an impact she has had in the game of basketball, and how more popular the WNBA is going to be now with her in it. She's a fantastic shooter. I've been watching her since last year, and she can shoot the heck of the ball. Reminds me of Stephen Curry. Just the 3-pointers, man. She just shoots them from just about anywhere. I think it's good, having a different sport you can watch. And one thing I like about the NBA, and I like the NBA, but to me, a lot of these kids are 19 years old when they join the league, and they don't have the fundamentals down. They just don't, the technique of how to play good defense. But hopefully, the WNBA, and there's going to be a San Francisco team next year for the WNBA coming up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this season. I hardly ever watch women's basketball except for the last years, I started getting more interest in it.
Well, yeah, I hate to say it, but there's been this push in the media to watch the WNBA, and the problem is most people don't really want to. I mean, we don't wish any ill will against the team, but you have to draw an interest. I have zero interest in watching this. I might watch, women's golf because I'm a golfer.
Mm-hmm.
That's always interesting. But women's NBA, no. It's like the big soccer push. That was back, in the 70s and 80s. Oh yeah, soccer's going to take over baseball, football, whatever. No, it's not. It never did because most people don't want to watch it. Again, so there's this push that is going to fail. I'm going to say, and I'm not wishing it will upon it, but I'm like, you have to get my attention. I have to be rooted to see, why would I watch this team? Do I know anyone other than the person you're just profiling here? I know no other player. I don't even know the names of the teams. So I'm like, I'm just being honest about it. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
I think what draws me to watching them play, and I mentioned this a couple of seconds ago, is just they play more fundamental basketball. The way I like seeing it play, passing the ball, playing better defense. A lot of these kids coming out of the NBA, like I said, they're like 19, 20 years old. And let's face it, they're just after the money, which is, I can't blame them, but learning how to play the game. And you should watch an NBA, a WNBA, or college women's basketball. I've watched it and I go, wow, they're really, really good. I haven't been impressed, So it's a good show. Let me see what else I have left here. Anything else? Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? Because we are at the end of our show.
Today, the NFL schedule dropped today. So there you go.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. They make such a big deal about everything, man.
Oh my God.
The NBA the NFL schedule.
I mean, I have to admit, my family, our home is most of our family is very football oriented just because of what, not just the games or the teams, but what we do with it. Like on Sundays, we have church service and then we'll come home and then we barbecue. We put the games on TV, everybody's over, everybody's wearing their jerseys and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun in our house during football season. And we have to schedule our lives kind of like not to the football schedule, but it's like, okay, so like we have, I have all my cons and my shows that are coming up now. So it was like, okay, the schedule came out, like, was there anything that like was, my team's the Eagles and the Eagles are playing the Rams this year. So it was like, we were planning to go to that game and it was like, okay, what weekend did that fall on? Oh, perfect. Like we don't have anything that weekend and it lined up just right. And I'm going to be in New York for New York Comic-Con and the Eagles are going to be in New York that weekend. And it's like, guess I'm going to go to the New York Giants Eagles game that weekend. And it's like, nice. So, it's just, it's fun because we get to like plan it out, but then also, there's a piece of paper that my wife and I with our kids, now my kids are older, so they kind of understand it a little bit more, but we basically like pick, do we think the Eagles will win these games this, for the season? And at the end of the year, we'll look to see who was closest, with the record pick and who they played and things like that. So we make a fun ordeal out of all of it. So it's just a lot of fun. Go Birds.
Okay, you piqued my curiosity. You're going to New York Comic-Con. Is it gonna be as a vendor?
Right now, no. This is attending. I did at Shortbox. I got to have some conversations with some really good vendors who've been doing this for a while. Shout out Bird City Comics. That were telling me they're like, if you're gonna do it, you got to go Midwest and East, and you got to start moving your brand into different directions because while you'll be able to do up and down the West Coast, and you'll be able to hit Arizona and Nevada, things like that. You need to start pushing your brand a little bit further out too. So who knows? Maybe we do C2E2 next year. So we'll see what happens.
Just out of curiosity, would you drive when you go to these cons? If you go to the East, or you got to think about all your books that you're going to be bringing.
Yeah, we would probably freight it.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in the future.
Shortbox actually offered to freight my stuff up for me,
really?
Or to do it, but because we were doing Free Comic Book Day. I was like, no, I already have a van. We're just going to take the trek and do the drive and, get up there and we'll get there. So
nice. I had to bring that up when you mentioned New York Comic-Con, so, and I think we are at the end. And like I said last month, I promised that I would be back in a month, and I was, thanks to Nando, because he pushed it to do it this week. So hopefully we will be back in June. You know, sometime about the middle of June, we hope to be back with another episode of Comic Culture.
Well, let's
It's
talk
not
because
Monday,
I've
June
got
10th. That's my birthday.
okay, all right. My wife and I are moving June. We just got a place, and so we have to move June 1st. And moving sucks. There's no nice way to put it. There's a ton of things we have to do. So I may or may not be able to make the show. So I'll let you know how, because we're going to a new. I just set up a whole new studio, the whole thing, on top of moving. So we'll, I'll let you know, Ephraim, how it's going to go.
No worries.
You know,
so
but
I mean, who's going to move your comic books? Are you going to take care of that? Or are you going to let
I have my
anybody
wife do it. She's going to take care all 31 boxes. She's going to do it by herself. No, she's not going to. I have to do it. Nando, what you said to me about buy as many comics as you want because you save my back, to load it back up again. The place we've got is an upstairs, so we have to go upstairs with all the comics. And of course, I have this deep love and passion. We're hiring a moving crew, but they're not going to move these things. I'm going to do them myself. I don't trust them. No offense to them or anybody else, but they're my babies, and I'm going to take them.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to downsize because the place we're getting is smaller. So I'll keep my Mortal Kombat machine. I've got 2 bar stools that go with it, so that's kind of cool.
Nice.
I don't show those off very well, and I'm going to give my Star Wars video game to my Star Wars daughter Danielle. She's going to inherit that. So just to consolidate, I'm not certain what I'm going to do with the Shield. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But
Mike, if you want to unload some boxes my way, I mean, we can probably figure that out too.
I got a bunch. I've way too. I'm currently at 31 short boxes.
I have almost, I put all my boxes together and everything I have close to 100 boxes.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And some of them are long boxes, some of them are short boxes, So like I said, I've been collecting since 1970, so I have a lot. And you can see behind me this furniture piece right here. I have about 3 furniture pieces in my house too, where I put comic books. And these were custom, but yeah, I'm still collecting, so we'll see what I get next time. Next time in show and tell, I'm gonna show the books that I've been trying to get. I got one of my grails. And
that would be a fun twist of the segment. Instead of show and tell, what are your top 3 grails that you don't have?
Yeah. Okay. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Tough question to answer.
Actually, I'm down to 3. My 3 remaining grails is the first Iron Man, Hulk, and one more. I forgot which one it is, but it's 3, that
You've already got the ASM 15s,
Yeah.
the AS-15 rather. So that's a huge one off the list. What kind of shape is that in, by the way?
It's a 3.5.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yep. But until next time, everybody, this is Comic Culture, and I want to play the correct exit video. I'm not going to mess up like I did at the beginning. And we hope to see you all next month. Everybody be safe and take care.